What if nothing around you is truly solid? What if every table, every building, every moment of hardship and joy is not as concrete as you've always believed? That idea may sound wild, maybe even delusional, but stop for a second and ask yourself, how many of your realities were once just thoughts if you live right now is built on thousands of past decisions, each born from a thought you once trusted enough to follow? So, what if thought itself is the architecture of reality? The greatest illusion we live under is that the world is something happening to us. School teaches us to memorize, culture teaches us to conform, and society tells us that we are the product of circumstances. But these are only lenses, and lenses can be changed. The truth is, your mind has never simply observed reality. It has always created it. Quantum physics at its core doesn't just study particles, it challenges perception. It shows us that matter isn't made of matter, it's made of energy, existing in a state of probability until observed. This is more than science, it's philosophy. Your life, like an electron, exists in multiple possibilities until your attention collapses it into one form, which means the way you look at things, the beliefs you carry, the fears you nurse, the faith you muster, literally creates the path in front of you. You might wonder, why does this matter to me? Because if the world isn't fixed, you are not stuck. Because if reality is a canvas and thought is the brush, then even the darkest parts of your life can be repainted. It means your wounds don't define you unless you keep reading them like gospel. It means that no matter what hand you were dealt, you still get to write the rules of the game. But here's where it gets uncomfortable, because if you're not a victim, then you must be a creator. If the suffering continues, maybe it's not life punishing you. Maybe it's your mind replaying the same frequency. That's a hard truth, but a liberating one. You can't change what you don't take ownership of, and most of us don't own our thoughts, we just react to them. We're conditioned by inherited beliefs, by our parents' wounds, by the echoes of past rejection. We mistake the noise in our minds for truth. Ask yourself honestly, where in your life are you still chasing something you don't even believe you deserve? What if the reason it hasn't arrived isn't because you're unworthy, but because you're not resonating with it? Manifestation isn't a game of begging, it's an act of becoming. Reality responds not to desperation, but to identity. If you carry the identity of someone who's always overlooked, mistreated, or not enough, then the world around you will mirror that. Not out of cruelty, but out of resonance. The universe doesn't hear what you say, it feels what you mean. That's why affirmations without belief are hollow. That's why hope without identity becomes longing, and longing, over time, turns into suffering. This is not about magical thinking. It's not about denying hardship or floating into a make-believe realm of constant joy. It's about reclaiming authorship. You are not here to live on autopilot. You are not here to wake, work, pay, sleep, and die. The very atoms that form your body were once stardust, and that isn't poetry, it's physics. You are a pattern of energy that can shift, reshape, realign. When you grasp this, not as a theory but as a living truth, something changes. Life stops feeling like a punishment and starts feeling like a mirror. And mirrors don't lie, they reflect. So what are you sending out each day? Is it shame, scarcity, rage disguised as ambition? Or is it grace, worthiness, quiet certainty? This first shift, shattering the illusion of solid reality, isn't about mastering the universe. It's about finally seeing that you are not powerless in it. In fact, you were never meant to be just a passenger. You were born to participate in the ongoing, fluid co-creation of your reality. The quantum world doesn't work like a machine. It works like a dance, and it's been waiting for you to lead. If the universe is a field of vibrating potential, then it doesn't listen to what you demand, it listens to what you radiate. This is one of the most humbling and empowering truths of the quantum mind. The field responds to frequency, not force. No matter how hard you try, No matter how many hours you push, beg, or plan, if the frequency behind your action is fear, the result will echo that fear. Because energy doesn't lie. This isn't about bypassing effort. It's not a call to abandon work or ambition. It's an invitation to become aware of the energy behind it. You've probably met someone who works less, but somehow always attracts success and peace. And then someone else, constantly grinding, barely surviving. The difference isn't in intelligence or capability, it's in the energetic signature. Imagine tuning a radio. You can't hear jazz on a frequency that's broadcasting rock. No matter how badly you want the music to change, unless you adjust the dial, you're stuck in the same static. Life operates the same way. Your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs form your frequency. They are your dial. And the results you see, they are just the song you're tuned into. Let's say you want love, but deep inside you believe you're not lovable. You may attract relationships, but they'll leave, betray, or disappoint you. Why? Because your frequency doesn't match your desire, it matches your fear. Or perhaps you want financial abundance, but constantly say, I can't afford that, or money never sticks around. The field isn't punishing you, it's simply delivering the experience that fits your broadcast. Here's the uncomfortable paradox. The more you chase what you don't believe you are, the more you reinforce its absence. Wanting can sometimes become a declaration of lack. The universe doesn't hear, I want success. It feels, I don't have it. And so it echoes back the not having. But when you begin to vibrate with success, carry yourself with the stillness of worthiness, speak as if your vision is already unfolding, then you're no longer asking, you're allowing. This is why people who are deeply at peace seem to magnetize good things. They're not trying to force outcomes, they're in harmony. Their vibration is clear, coherent, and the field rewards coherence with synchronicity. It's not about being positive all the time. That would be another mask. It's about emotional congruence. It's okay to feel grief, anger, sadness. The key is not to let those frequencies become your home. Let them pass through, not set up camp, because whatever you host most often becomes the dominant signal. Have you ever noticed how when you're calm and unattached, solutions just arrive? Or when you stop obsessing, the person finally calls? That's not coincidence, it's coherence. When your inner world softens into trust, the field becomes more responsive. The irony of manifesting is that the less you need it, the faster it flows. Because need signals lack, but presence signals abundance. Try this. Instead of asking, how do I get what I want? Ask, who must I become so this reality is natural for me? Shift from getting to being, because you don't manifest from the mind, you manifest from the identity. And identity is a frequency. The quantum field is like a mirror that doesn't reflect your face, but your inner posture. Not your wishes, but your expectations. If you expect rejection, chaos, abandonment, life will oblige. Not to hurt you, but to confirm your belief. Not because the universe is cruel, but because it's impartial. So the deeper task is not changing the world, it's changing the tone of your vibration. The stories you tell yourself, the words you speak casually, the inner monologue you let play on repeat when no one's watching. That's the real work. That's the lever that shifts outcomes without brute force. Ask yourself now, what emotional frequency do I broadcast most days? Urgency or trust? Doubt or quiet conviction? If you feel misaligned, it's not a punishment. It's a signal, a gentle invitation to retune. This is how the field begins to bend, not with effort but with resonance. And resonance, unlike noise, cannot be faked. It has to be lived. There's a reason ancient mystics, poets, and scientists alike have all been fascinated by vibration. Not just the kind that moves through air, but the subtle resonance behind everything. Thought, in its essence, is not just a fleeting flicker. It is a wave, a silent, invisible sculpture that molds energy into experience. You've heard the phrase, words have power. But even before words are formed, it is thought that gives them their charge. Thought, repeated, becomes belief. Belief, sustained, becomes frequency, and frequency creates form. Let's step into a simple metaphor. Imagine placing fine grains of sand on a metal plate. As you hum different tones, those grains arrange themselves into intricate patterns. This is cymatics, and it's not magic, it's resonance. The sound wave moves unseen through the plate, and the particles organize themselves in direct response. Now imagine that the plate is your life, and the tone is the dominant thought you carry day in and day out. What patterns are you unconsciously creating? We tend to underestimate the weight of a single thought. I always mess things up. Nothing ever works for me. These aren't just passing ideas, they're repeated tones. And over time, they sculpt the structure of your emotional field, your relationships, even the way your body holds tension. The body listens. The world listens. And when your internal tuning fork is set to despair, scarcity, or self-blame, life begins to echo that note. That's why healing your thought patterns isn't about thinking positive for a week. It's about rewiring the tone of your internal broadcast. It's spiritual sound engineering. It's about attuning to the deeper, quieter frequency beneath the noise, one that sings of enoughness, of value, of alignment with your authentic self. Because when you're in tune with that core frequency, life stops feeling like a resistance band and starts flowing like a river. So many of us try to brute force change. We make vision boards, set goals, read books, but all while carrying the old soundtrack in our mind. It's like trying to play Mozart through a broken speaker. No matter how beautiful the music, the distortion will muffle the truth. You must fix the speaker. And that speaker is your mind's habitual tone. Real change starts when you begin to observe your thoughts without judgment. Not to shame them, but to see them clearly. Who gave you the idea that you're not good enough? Whose voice are you replaying when you hesitate, when you self-sabotage, when you settle for crumbs? Because once you see that thought as separate from your essence, you regain the power to retune it. Ask yourself, if my thoughts were music, what genre would they be? Would they be frantic, somber, hopeful? If someone else had to live inside the soundtrack of your inner world, how would they feel? Peaceful or panicked, uplifted or numb? These aren't just questions, they're invitations to become conscious of the invisible sculptor. When you wake up and speak gratitude, not because life is perfect, but because you're learning, you send a frequency into the field. When you pause before reacting and breathe presence into a difficult moment, you shift the pattern. These small choices are subtle wave corrections. And over time, they build new geometry in your life. And yes, it takes practice, because thoughts have momentum. The old frequencies didn't arrive overnight, and they won't vanish overnight either. But every time you choose awareness over autopilot, you're turning the dial. Every time you stop mid-thought and reframe, I always mess up into, I am learning how to meet challenges with grace, you're sculpting a new outcome. This is the sacred responsibility of being human. Not to control every event, but to curate the signal we emit. Not to suppress emotions, but to transmute them. Not to silence the inner voice, but to teach it to sing a new song. The quantum field is not distant, it's not elsewhere. It's here, and it listens most closely not when you shout, but when you vibrate in truth. You are not broken. You are not late. You are simply in the process of retuning, and every thought you choose becomes the next note in the masterpiece of your life. Have you ever noticed how people can smell your energy before you even speak? A room can feel different when someone joyful walks in, like the air shifts. That's not imagination. It's coherence. The truth is, when your inner world is in harmony, your outer life begins to reorganize itself. Inner alignment creates outer alignment. Not because you've forced the world to change, but because you've changed the way you relate to it. We live in a culture that glorifies the hustle. Get up earlier, grind harder, outperform, outmaneuver, outlast. But here's the paradox. So many people doing all the right things, and still feeling empty, anxious, lost. Why? Because alignment isn't about what you do, it's about who you are while you're doing it. Action without alignment is just movement, but action from alignment becomes magnetism. Think of a compass. If your inner compass is spinning from fear, pressure, or people-pleasing, no map will save you. You'll get somewhere. Sure, but will it be home? Real alignment begins when your actions stem from your truth, not from your trauma. When your choices reflect your wholeness, not your wounds. And no, it's not always easy to know the difference. We've been trained to mistake tension for ambition. We confuse anxiety for productivity. But the body always knows. The breath gets tight, the jaw clenches, the stomach churns. These are signals, not obstacles, but invitations to pause and check in. Am I doing this from love or fear? You see, the world doesn't change because you manipulate it. The world changes because you no longer need to. Alignment softens resistance. It opens doors you didn't even know existed. The friend appears, the opportunity arrives, the idea clicks, not because you chased it, but because you became the version of yourself who naturally receives it. Take real stories, like the woman who spent years trying to force a relationship only to finally let go and focus on healing. Within months, someone new entered her life, not because she manifested a partner, but because she had become someone whole. Or the man who worked 12-hour days trying to prove his worth. And it wasn't until he took a sabbatical to reconnect with his passion that his side project turned into $1 million business. It always comes back to the inner world. The quantum field doesn't care how much you want something if your signal is chaotic. Wanting without alignment becomes noise. But when your thoughts, feelings, and actions move in unison, like the instruments of a symphony, reality tunes itself to your song. So how do you align? You get honest. You slow down. You stop outsourcing your power to what others think, to what culture demands, to what past pain tries to predict. You ask, what is mine to carry? What identity am I still clinging to because I'm afraid of the unknown? These are hard questions, but without them, you can't hear your true frequency under the static. Inner alignment isn't about being flawless. It's about being congruent. When your words match your energy, when your yes means yes and your no means no, when you say you love yourself and actually treat yourself like someone you love. It's that simple and that difficult. Here's the magic. When you begin to live in alignment, you need less. You stop chasing. You stop begging for crumbs. You walk differently. You speak with less rush and more clarity, and the world notices. People feel it. Opportunities feel it. The quantum field, sensing the coherence, starts organizing itself around you in ways you could never strategize. So ask yourself now, in what area of your life are you still acting out of alignment? What truth have you been avoiding because you're afraid of what it might cost you? The irony is, the cost of staying misaligned is always higher. Misalignment leaks energy. It creates confusion. It attracts relationships and situations that keep mirroring your internal tug-of-war. The more you align internally, the less you have to compensate externally. You stop performing, persuading, proving. You just become. And from that becoming, your reality begins to mirror your wholeness, not your wounds. Knowing all this isn't enough. It's not knowing that unlocks the power of the quantum mind. It's becoming. You can read every book, attend every workshop, quote every teacher, and still live a life of misalignment if you haven't allowed the truth to sink into your cells. You must become the version of yourself that no longer begs for permission to exist. You must embody the reality you wish to live in. Embodying the quantum self means that your actions, emotions, and identity harmonize. It's no longer about what you hope for. It's about who you show up as when no one's watching. It's walking like someone who is already free, speaking like someone who is already chosen, making decisions like someone who trusts life. And that kind of embodiment doesn't come from theory, it comes from presence. Presence is the portal. It's the place where thought, energy, and matter merge. Most people live in a loop, haunted by yesterday, worried about tomorrow, disembodied in today. But you only ever create from now. The future is not some distant place. It's a mirror of your current state of being, projected forward in time. So stop trying to fix the future. Start asking, what am I embodying now? Are you carrying the energy of resentment or release? Are you rooted in trust or tangled in control? Are you moving from lack or from knowing? Because that's the seed the future grows from. To embody the quantum self is not to become someone new. It's to remember who you were before the world taught you to doubt, before shame told you to shrink, before logic overrode your inner knowing. It's a return, not a reinvention. Think about someone you admire, not for what they do, but for how they move through life. Chances are, it's not their skills that captivate you. It's their presence, their calm, their centeredness. That's not charisma, that's coherence. That's embodiment. And you have access to it too. Not when you finally get there, but when you stop abandoning yourself in the now. Many people ask, how do I manifest faster? But the better question is, what part of me still doubts I'm worthy of this life? Because manifestation isn't magic, it's memory. It's remembering who you are beneath the noise. The universe doesn't give you what you want. It mirrors who you are being. So be someone who walks with reverence. Speak like your voice matters. Make choices from wholeness, not reaction. Move with the quiet confidence of someone who's no longer auditioning for life. This is embodiment. It's waking up each day not asking what will go wrong, but asking, what would someone who trusts life do right now? And then doing it. It's not that problems vanish. They don't. But your relationship to them transforms. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop collapsing and start expanding. That's when you become magnetic. Embodying the quantum self also means releasing timelines. The ego loves to measure. By this age I should have, in 6 months I better. But the soul doesn't rush. The field responds to frequency, not deadlines. You don't need to force a flower to bloom, you just nurture the soil. Your job is the inner work. The blooming takes care of itself. And yes, this requires practice. Some days you'll remember, other days you'll forget. That's okay. Embodiment is not a one-time ritual, it's a lifetime devotion. It's not about perfection, it's about return. Again and again and again. Ask yourself now, not just intellectually, but viscerally, what would it feel like to fully trust life? Sit with that. Let that be the frequency you begin to carry. Because when you do, you'll find that reality doesn't just shift, it dances with you. You are not here to observe life from the sidelines. You are here to participate as the artist, the instrument, and the music itself. And the moment you choose to embody the truth of who you are, the universe responds. Not someday, but now. This isn't just a theory to entertain, it's a truth to embody. The quantum mind teaches us that life isn't a series of random events to survive, but a field of potential to shape through conscious resonance. You are not here to endlessly fix, prove, or chase. You are here to remember your power, refine your frequency, and radiate your truth into a world that reflects your state of being. It's okay to start small, to pause more often, to question the old thoughts you once called facts, to soften into presence when the world demands panic, because each of those choices is a vibration, and every vibration shapes the reality you walk into tomorrow. So here is your invitation. Begin living as though your inner world truly matters. Because it does. Start speaking like your voice steers the winds, because it does. Let go of timelines, let go of needing proof, and start living as if it's already true. Because in the quantum field, it is. Now, take a breath. Feel the stillness underneath the noise. That's where everything begins. If this spoke to your soul, share it with someone you love. Leave a comment. Let me know where you're shifting. We rise together.